Hi guys, my name is Sharon. Um, I've been with CMedu for about 3 years now, and today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. Um, I think most of us find color to be like one of those topics that we can talk about at any time, even over a cup of coffee, right? Especially if you're somebody who's an artist, who's interested in photography, who has been doing photography. um, Colors are those one topic that you can strike a conversation at any time, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing today. We're going to talk a lot about different colors, the different psychologies behind each color, how color influences our mood, basically how we can use colors to influence the mood of our viewers, people who look at our images, how we can change the way they feel about our images, and also make a difference in the kind of setup that they are actually present in. So to give you a little information about myself, my name is Sharon. I come from a small town called Mysore, which is in the south, close to Bangalore. I have about 10 years experience in photography, and I have been teaching for about 5 years. I graduated from a college in Mysore called Kawa, which is under the University of Mysore. I completed my graduation in photography and photojournalism, and I've also been doing a lot of applied arts. And the genres that I'm most interested in are fine art photography, photojournalism. Um, I have done fashion photography as well. I worked with Amazon. I worked with Black Me Fashion Week, both in Mysore and Bangalore. So, yeah, that's a little introduction about myself. Before we could go ahead, let me just talk a little about photography in general. So, there are two kinds of photography, all right? One which uses color, and one which is completely, the lack of color, or rather, let's say black and white photography, or monochrome, in other words. So monochrome is that kind of photography where the color is absent. So there's a lot of emotion involved with the person's expression. The elements in the image has more emotions involved with it. That you take out colors, you take out emotions from the picture. So the person is constantly communicating through the visuals itself. There's no distraction whatsoever. So to give you an example, if a mother carrying a baby, let's say the mother is crying and the mother is actually wearing a red color sari, a lot of our expression actually goes towards the mother's red sari rather than what is actually happening in the scene, the mother holding the baby. What is wrong with the baby? Why is the mother crying? Right? These are questions that arise in our mind. But there, take away the color and just have a black and white image. Automatically our eyes go towards the person. So that is because color holds a lot of emotion itself. And red being a very prominent color, it holds um, the concept of color is very fascinating. It's something that can invoke an array of emotions. Color in the clothes we wear, we have color in the environment we come from. Have colors around us. We look at colors on a regular basis. So the concept of color is very fascinating, and it evokes a lot of different emotions. When we look at red, we see colors of passion. We will talk about what each color actually means and how each color can change the way a person feels. Like yellow color is always associated with happiness because it's the color of sunshine, right? So colors can affect a lot of different emotions, or bring about a lot of different emotions in us, and using these colors in the right way, especially with our photography, makes us really good photographers, especially, trying to use colors to draw emotional attention from your viewers is one interesting aspect. What exactly is color? So one of life's most beautiful properties is that it has color. This is something that we just spoke about. um, I have a toddler, so I have a little baby at home. So I see a lot of colors around right now because kids are very attracted to colors. The moment they see bright, colors, they're running towards it. Same thing, you talk about an older person at home, you'll see their room has a lot of very, mild neutral colors. You'll see a lot of grays, a lot of browns, a lot of, whites and blacks, not even black, mostly white, gray. This is because they've seen a lot of color. Actually, as you age, you tend to get too overwhelmed when you see a lot of colors. But as you are growing, as you're a child, you tend to be more attracted to colors. All right. And they find colors to be more beautiful because it takes some time for their eyes to actually adjust to the understanding of colors. All right. So photographers are like kids. We tend to love when we see colors, especially when we are into commercial photography, especially fashion photography. We tend to use a lot of colors. We create a very interesting color palette so that our images tend to draw the attention of the viewer. To understand this phenomenon of color, let's consider light as a wave. All right, this is a little bit of science. Light is nothing but a wave. All right, therefore, the color is a wavelength. Each color has different wavelengths. That is why the intensity of each color is different. Red has a shorter wavelength, so it tends to reach us, a longer wavelength, so it tends to reach us faster, so it is bright. All right, different objects reflect different wavelengths of light. Like if I have, let's say I have a toy in front of me. All right, so each of this entire toy will have different colors. So each color actually, is a wavelength. Each wavelength is reflected back into our eyes in a different manner. So basically, this light enters into our eyes and we can see the color and the wavelength, or we can call it a hue. Usually in photography terms, we call pure color, let's say yellow, pure red as a hue. All right. Anyway, so this is a very good explanation. This is also called a color wheel. It was introduced to us by Sir Isaac Newton. All right. He came up with the concept of the color wheel, and he explained that each color have hues, which is a very pure color. These are all hues of the color. All right. Then you have tint, which is adding a little bit of white to a pure color will give you a tint. All right. Adding white and black to a pure color. To this color, let's add white and black, you get a tone. And adding pure black to pure color, you get shade. All right. So these are four technical terms that we hear a lot, especially when we're doing color photography in terms of, commercial photography. All right. So tomorrow someone says, you know what, let's change the tint of the color. It's a little too, dull. Let's make it a little brighter tint. That means that they're not using the pure color, but they're using a lighter tint or a more intense tint. All right. You'll hear these terms a lot, especially when you start doing photography on a regular basis. If you're working with a team, let's say a designing team, you'll always have a team when you're working in commercial photography. You're the photographer, so you're the head of the team. You'll have a designer, you'll have a stylist, you'll have a makeup artist, and everybody needs to be in sync. So these are certain terms that we tend to use on a regular basis a lot. All right. Understanding colors. Colors and emotions are very closely linked. This is something that I cannot stress on enough. Each color has a very different emotional, statement that it has. Like if you talk about red, the moment you look at red, it's a very energetic color. It has a lot of energy. It has emotions like passion, lust, love, stuff that are very, unique to the color. And it's such a bright color. Anywhere you're looking and you see even a tiny spot of red, your eyes automatically goes towards it, right? I'm talking about red because red is one of the most intense colors among all the colors. All right. So colors can greatly affect our mood and the way other people respond to us. With colors, the kind of clothes that we wear, let's say we have an interview and we wear a very bright color, dress. The kind of person who's actually sitting across us and talking to us, it makes them very confused or very, uncomfortable. That is why a lot of people wear very neutral colors to interviews. And if you're a photographer, let's say a wedding photographer, you'll see, I'm not sure how many of you guys have seen how wedding photographers work, especially, professional wedding photographers. You'll see them wearing very neutral colors. Either it will be a brown, they'll all have the same kind of brown t-shirt, or it will be something in white, or it will be something in black. These are the colors that you usually see, gray color, or else, even wildlife photographers, they use a lot of olive green. These are colors that don't really scream out. Same thing, imagine, wildlife photographer standing in the wilderness with a red t-shirt shooting a lion. It'll be very funny, right, if the lion comes pouncing. So yeah, colors, they greatly affect the mood and the way other people respond to us. Not just other people, other creatures also, right? Colors can make us feel happy or sad too. Some colors like, brown and gray tend to make us sad, very sad. Especially younger generation, between the age group of 18 to 30, they do not enjoy colors like brown, rust, gray colors, because these are colors that kind of make them very sad, make you sad. More energetic colors like yellow, orange, red, to some extent blue, purple. These are colors which have some amount of energy. So they tend to make people happy. All right. So these reactions are rooted in our psychological effect. See, every color has a very strong psychological effect on us as individuals. Okay. Biologically, see, red is known to increase the metabolism of the body. What is the metabolism of your body? Your breathing, your heartbeat rate. All of this increases when you are in contact with a lot of red around you. All right. So just an example, and cultural imprinting, like different cultures have different understanding of the color white. In the Western culture, white is associated with, brides, and in the Eastern culture, you see red associated with brides. So there's a lot of cultural influence as well with the way colors are perceived in different places. The way colors can affect emotions depends largely on the brightness, shade, tint, tone, and whether each color is warm or cool. We'll talk about warm and cool colors, but brightness, um, the younger the person, they enjoy brighter colors. The older the person, they enjoy tints and shade of colors. All right. So this is something, you see a lot of aunties these days, they enjoy these pastel colors. Not just aunties, but people above the age group of 30 and up to the age group of say 50. They like a lot of pastel colors. They like tints of pink. They like, shades of green, right? You see this a lot. So brightness and shades, tints and tones, they largely depend on the way the color is actually taken in or perceived by different people. So let's talk about these images. All right, so I think this image on the right hand side, I found it really, really interesting because it has a happy face, but you see garbage at the back, right? This garbage bin actually doesn't look bad just because it's painted in very, unique colors, very happy colors. Blue is also kind of a happy color, very relaxing color. Pink is a color that we associate with baby girls. Yellow is a happy color again. All right. So the moment you look at it, this garbage bin, instead of the plain boring black bin, you see a fun bin like this. Garbage doesn't seem garbage anymore, right? Again here, red is a very intense color. Like it has a lot of intense emotions. Putting red in this black hand, it can denote anything, right? um do one of you want to try, saying anything or explaining what do you feel about this color or this image? You want to try? Anybody? What is the emotion that you get from this image the moment you look at it? What is the photographer trying to convey? What is the message?
You
Sad.
You guys can type it also if you want.
Yeah, you can type it as well. Sadness. What else? Okay, let me open my chat box. I can't see. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, anybody want to like have a go at the image? What do you think this image could mean? What can it signify? Okay, one is sadness. Then tell me, what is the story or the motive behind this image? What do you think the photographer is trying to convey? Heartbreak. Very interesting. What else? Pain, right? Heartbreak, pain. The moment you look at barbed wire, you associate it with being pricked, pain, right? Caged. Interesting. What else? See, black is nothingness, all right? Nothingness is associated with black. When we get to color psychology, I'll explain what each color means. But the moment you look at this color, even when you don't understand color psychology very much, loneliness, yes, very true. Loneliness as well, you know. Someone is hurting somebody, right? When you look at this picture, it kind of gives you an impression. It's a beautiful red flower, and someone is actually crushing that flower. So there's a lot of emotions involved with photography. You can emotionally connect anything, convey any kind of message if you just know how to use the right, subjects. All right, and using the right color will be able to actually, you'll be able to, yeah, pressure from someone. True, very true. You'll be able to actually communicate a story. All right, that is why visual communication, even when somebody cannot understand, or let's say they're illiterates, they're able to understand your story through visual communication, right? That is why photographers are considered very powerful. A photography is a very powerful tool in your hand. If you can use it right, with the right colors, the right lighting, you can convey any message in the most unbiased, in the most, simplest manner. This picture is actually pretty simple. The photographers just painted one of the model's hands, put a red rose, put barbed wire, actually created a barbed wire and put it around the, the model's hand. Click the picture with a black background. It's so powerful and intense the moment you look at it, right? So that's the beauty of photography. That's the beauty of colors. All right. The moment you look at the picture, you're drawn to this part of the image. Then your eyes trail along the other parts of the image, like the hand, because red is the most prominent color in the entire image. It's dominating the entire image. We'll talk about dominating colors as well, all right? But for now, let's talk about the next one as well. Here as well, our eyes are drawn first to the red color building. All the other colors, yes, they're interesting, but red is more interesting. It's more intense, right? So a lot of photographers, you will come across a lot of photographers who actually use red as a means to draw the attention of the viewer, right? Anyway, so moving on. Here, see, now here in this picture, yellow, a more subtle yellow is used, right? It's not as overpowering as red, but at the same time, it's not sad like red. Even if the model is not really smiling, it still somehow conveys a very happy feeling, right? The moment you look at yellow anywhere, even if a child looks at yellow, it kind of has a happy vibe to it. Intense colors, like, where you use two very opposite colors in the color wheel, which we will talk about as well. You tend to draw the attention of the viewer. See, the viewer's attention is drawn to this character. Even the character's face is not very visible, so it makes the image all the more interesting to viewers. We are always drawn to things that we do not understand. All right, we are drawn to information. So images which have a little suspense in them, they're more interesting to our viewers. So as photographers, we tend to make our images more, suspenseful, interesting to the viewers. See, there are two kinds of images that we will come across in our life, all right, as photographers: subjective images and objective images. This is very important for us to understand. Subjective images are images which will have it will have multiple meanings, all right. The photographer is giving the freedom to his viewers to come up with any kind of conclusion. This is a subjective image, all right. And there are objective images, images which have only one story, and the photographer just wants to communicate that one story, all right. Most photographers tend to use objectivity in their images rather than subjectivity in their images rather than objectivity, because they want their viewers to enjoy the image. See, when you have freedom of, thinking anything, when you look at a picture, there's you tend to stay on that picture for a longer time. But if a photographer is just wanting to talk about one message or communicate just one message, the image becomes very boring. So most photographers tend to make the image very subjective so that a lot of people can speculate what is there in the image. All right. Okay, so let's talk a little about hue, saturation, and luminosity. Luminosity is also called value or lightness. All right. These are like three terms, again, that we come across in photography, not just in photography, but also in editing. All right. Hues are nothing but pure colors. The purest form of a color is called hue. Generally, when you're doing Lightroom, like you're editing your images in Lightroom or in Photoshop, you tend to see hue and you correct the hue or you change the hue based on what your image is. Hue can be described as a particular wavelength, and it is the most visible difference between colors. Like there'll be a different wavelength for red, a different wavelength for orange, a different wavelength for yellow. Each of these colors are pure because of the wavelength that they have. All right. Next is value, which is luminosity. Value is the degree of lightness or darkness in a related white and black. All right. Basically, value is something that we see in, or lightness is something that we see in monochrome images. All right. Different shades of black, or the shades in between black and white, like grays, different form of grays. Next is intensity and saturation. Saturation is how intense a color is. The more intensity, the higher the saturation. The lesser the intensity of the color, the lesser the saturation. All right. It defines how bright or how dull an image is. Next is warm colors and cool colors. This is something, again, that we can play with as photographers, all right? We can play with warm colors and cool colors. Warm colors often evoke a feeling of happiness and optimism. This is a picture of a warm color, all right? Imagine you're walking through, early morning, all right? The golden hour, let's say anywhere between 7 o'clock to around 8:30 or 8 o'clock, just when the sun is coming up, and when the sun's rays are hitting through through different trees, you get this spindle effect. All right. A very interesting effect where you can see the rays actually falling on the ground. This is warm colors. All right. It's a warm feeling. It's a happy feeling. Even when you're sad and you walk through a patch where there is a warm light, you tend to be happy. It makes you happy. All right. Same thing, let's talk about cool colors. Cool colors are usually calming and soothing, but can also express sadness. The moment you look at this, it's like the day is coming to an end, right? Automatically, it kind of it's cool, it's soothing, and it's calm, but also it has a feeling of sadness associated with it. So this is something that you can remember when you guys go out and you're shooting with your camera. If you're already started doing photography, you can actually try shooting just a few minutes after sunset. The images, even if the setup is a very happy setup, it tends to look a little sad because you already reached the blue hour. All right, the golden hour is gone. Golden hour is supposed to be anywhere between 6:30 in the morning to about 8:30 in the morning, 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. And then you have it again in about 4:30 in the evening to about 5:30 in the evening, just when the sun is setting. It's not as harsh. All right. So warm colors are more a happy feeling, and cool colors have more of a sad feeling, but are also cool and calming. Colors that are less saturated but bright are relaxing, and those that are more saturated and less bright are more energizing. Like let's talk about these two images, all right? The first one on the left hand side, this is actually less saturated. The saturation level is pretty less, but they're also very bright, they're relaxing. It's not sad. The images are not very sad. But the same thing, you look at this picture, you want to actually go to this place, right? It kind of draws you in. That's because the saturation is a little higher. It's more energizing, you know. Um, uh, I think one very good example would be, pictures where, companies are using these images to, draw people to come on a holiday, like in Goa. Imagine seeing Goa, a picture of Goa. You usually tend to have a very sunny beach image, right? Do you see ever a sad image of Goa, um, like rain in Goa and that image actually on one of the tourism sites? No, it's always a happy image. It's always saturated, highly saturated images. Images where the sky looks bright blue, the sand is nice and orangish yellow, and then there's greenery in the image. That's because saturation tends to make the image look more energizing, right? The concept of including color in photos might seem easily considering we are surrounded by it, but knowing how you can manipulate its use can open up a whole new world of artistics. Basically, how to use these colors to manipulate your viewers. See, as photographers, to be honest, we especially commercial photographers, we tend to use colors to manipulate our clients or our customers. All right, we want to draw them into the brand. We want to make them want to buy the brand. We've all had this experience, right, where we actually look at a brand, and we end up buying something from the brand because we like the kind of advertisements they put out. That is nothing but brand psychology, where color psychology also comes into play. All right. And as a photographer who's working for a brand, it's very important for us to understand who the targeted audience is. If it's a younger generation, we tend to use a lot of neon colors, a lot of, neon pink, neon yellow. It draws them, especially kids between the age group of 18 to 22. Thank you. Anyway, so these I'm going to give you some really interesting tips that will help you with how you can actually use color, even if you're somebody who's just starting off in the field of photography. Okay, so ways that you can use color to create stunning photographs. One is use bold colors. Either you go in for really bold colors, like use all the different colors, but use it minimalistically. Use it against one colored background. All right. Using bold colors can make your images look very interesting. The moment you look at all of these images, let's talk about this image. All right. It's it's a very simple, measure, but it looks interesting the moment you look at it, right? As individuals, we're drawn to these colors. We tend to look at it and wonder, okay, what's this all about? Why is the photographer use so many colors? Right? It draws the attention. Colors tend to draw attention. Shades do not draw attention. Tones do not draw attention. All right. Again, look at this picture. Very interesting use of colors, right? A very conceptual image, very concept-based image. It could mean anything. Let's talk. Let's try to decode what this image is. Do any of you have any opinions about this image? What do you think is the story that it's conveying? Does anybody want to try? You can talk, you can type. What do you think this image is conveying? Think a little bit and just talk about it. Okay, you know what? Let's do this. Okay, I'm still going to touch base on all the different colors, and then let's come back to this image and try to decode this image, because there are different colors. There's green, there's blue, there's black, there's yellow, and there's a lot of red. And red here looks like blood, right? So we'll come back to this image. For now, let's move on. So using bold colors can make your images look very interesting, very energetic, appetizing. Anybody looking at the images, they'll want to stop for a bit, look at your image, and then pass by. So using bold colors is one way to make your photography stand out. The key to using bold colors is keep your composition simple and clean. Whatever you're composing, however your image is going to be composed, make sure that the colors have all the importance. So that means making sure that the background is always clean. All right. The more colors you have, the busier the photo will already be. So allow the colors to take over. Here in these images, you see the colors are taking over. Background is very simple. Either the background is red, black, or it's white. You go back here, the black background is in blue. See, because the background is in blue, this blue is getting, smudged in the image or getting overpowered by the entire image. So our eyes are only trailing along these four colors. You see, and again in this, the photographer is giving a lot of importance to the colors and the blood, right? Here as well. It's a very simple background and the subject is highly colored. So keep this in mind whenever you're using a lot of bold colors in your images, or you're shooting street photography, which has a lot of bold colors. Make sure that the background is more simpler and has more neutral colors. All right. Next is using complementary colors. This is a very interesting concept. All right. If you go back to the color wheel, Isaac Newton's color wheel, colors that are opposite to each other on the color wheel are called complementary colors. All right. In these complementary colors, one color cancels out the other color. All right. Or rather complements the other color. Sorry, my bad. It complements the other color. Like blue complements orange. Orange complements blue. You can use these colors to actually, these are very energizing images. They're very eye-catchy images when you use complementary colors. All right. They complement each other, these colors. That is why the image looks more bright, more, energetic, more appealing to the eyes. All right. Now, especially in the world today, a lot of commercial photographers tend to use complementary colors in their photography. Fashion as well, not just fashion, even product photography. This is a very good example of, how to make your image pop, having like a very pop culture image. Next would be, let a single color guide the eye. All right, you're basically using one color to guide the eye. Here in this entire image, all the other things are all very neutral colors, and just the chair is a yellow color. So the moment you look at this picture, your eyes are drawn to this one particular subject. Again, you're using color to draw the attention of the viewer. Here as well, the moment you look at it, it looks all juicy, very interesting. Your appetite increases when you look at images like this. So your eyes are drawn to the color of the fruit, and also the shininess, the water sprayed on it. All of these add to the emotional aspect of the image. The photographer wants you to feel what he's trying to make you feel. Like by spraying the subject with a little water, he's making it look fresh, right? So the moment you look at it, you're drawn into it. You want to actually, have a bite of it. Here as well, the photographer is using the color to draw your attention to this one particular point in the image. So you can use colors as a means of drawing the attention of the viewer. All right. Now, understanding dominant and receding colors. This is something that is really interesting. See, there are dominating colors which are very, they reach the eye faster in terms of the wavelength. And there are receding colors which are much more, sober colors in comparison to dominating colors. All right. Dominating colors are usually always the warm colors. All right. Cool colors are considered as receding colors. Example, red, yellow, orange, these colors are considered very dominating colors. They dominate the entire image. The moment you look at this picture, again, dominating color is, it is making you, it's drawing your attention to this one particular, subject, right? So that's the best part about these dominating colors. Guys, please don't write on the screen. It's very unprofessional. All right. Please just, stop doing it. Y'all are not kids. Again, dominating color, red, orange. These are very dominant colors. So they kind of make you look into the image. I, as a viewer, I'm attracted to this image because I'm seeing a dominant color being used. And at the background, you see this is a very, ice blue kind of a color. So it's a receding color. You see, using dominant and receding colors is another very interesting way to, make a composition in your image. Colors isn't just for the eyes. Other than beautiful visual art, in many different ways, it can evoke a range of emotions. This is something that we've already spoken about. Color has a means of, evoking different emotions, different types of emotions, and we will talk on that. All right. So, how can color affect our brain? Two points. Color can stimulate our brain chemistry and create emotions according to them. Basically, the brain works differently when it sees different colors. All right. When let's talk about a room. All right. A completely plain room. Let's say the entire room is red. The moment you walk in, it's so overpowering, you can't stay in that room for a longer time. You tend to run out of the room really fast. Same thing, you walk into a room that's completely white, it gives you ideas. Your mind starts working. You're thinking, okay, what can come on this wall? What can come on that wall? The entire room is white. There's an entire, room full of freedom for you, right? So again, you walk into a room that has yellow, it's more of a happy feeling. It's not as overpowering as red, but you tend to be there for a little longer time. So that's nothing but brain chemistry. It's just how each color is making you feel or making your body feel. The effects can be both physical and emotional as well. How culture has impacted on color. See, basically, culture also has a lot of influence on the way we look at colors. In India, we see a lot of different colors around us, so we enjoy a lot of colors. Same thing, you go to a Western country, like you go to England or you go to America, you'll see a lot of very dull colors because they're not used to a lot of colors. We have a lot of different cultures in our in our midst, so that's why we have more colors. You go down north, you'll see a lot of, I mean, down south, you'll see a lot of yellow, a lot of red, a lot of bright fluorescent, not fluorescent, I wouldn't say fluorescent, I'd say a bright yellow, bright orange, bright blue. Their saris are all in these colors, jari saris. So you come up north, you'll see a lot of colors like green, red. Rajasthan may green and red is one more color. So these have a very a very interesting effect on the kind of people that you're actually shooting for. A great example of cultural influence would be the color white is seen in funerals in countries like India, Japan, and China. White is used at funerals, a sharp contrast to black, which represents mourning in Western cultures. In Western cultures, you go for a funeral, you'll see a lot of black. People will wear black because that's the color of mourning in the Western culture. So there's a lot of influence of the kind of place you come from. All right. Um, See, these are some really interesting images that I've come across, where you can actually see the way the colors actually spoken about. In one interesting story that I came across when I was doing my research was not until Queen Victoria wore a white dress to a wedding, white dress was actually not considered important in a wedding in the Western culture, because white was a very, so in Western culture, like if you talk about England, they don't really have a lot of water. All right, it's a very cold place, so they tend to have baths very rarely. All right, so brides would never really wear white because white was a color that needed to be clean. Even a small little drop of red, let's say a drop of red falls on white, it shouts out loud, right? You can only see that one drop. You will not see the entire dress. So that's one sadness about white. But as time grew, as things changed, the Western culture accepted white as a color of purity. So they wanted to show that a bride is a very pure form of a woman, right? So they wanted their brides to wear white. But in India, colors like red is considered a color of fertility, right? So they want to show that the girl who's being given away is a fertile creation, all right, a fertile part of the world, a fertile part of her family. So that is why we see a lot of red, a lot of yellow, a lot of orange being used in Indian weddings, because these are very um, prominent and very, I think, culturally influenced colors. All right. To understand your use and to apply the proper colors, you should follow these points. Let's talk about these points. All right. These are some points that will help you tomorrow when you're going out and actually shooting. You can actually consider these points. One is collect data on behavior of your target audience. Who are you shooting these images for? Let's say you're shooting, you've got an offer to work for a brand. Let's say Nike has chosen you as a photographer. You've got a job with Nike. And Nike has target audience, different kinds of target audience. They have younger audience, they have older audience. Now, let's say you're catering to a younger audience base. You need to understand what are the colors that are attracted by them. What colors can you use to attract a sports person who's probably 21? And what are the colors you can use for a sports person who's actually been in the industry for a long time and, made a name for themselves? Probably a 35-year-old or a 36-year-old. So that is the data that you need to collect. You need to be able to understand who you're shooting for. All right. The kind of people that you're actually shooting for will give you an idea of what you need to produce. All right. You should be able to understand which area of the world the viewer comes from. Where do they come from? Are they Western? Are they Eastern culture? Western culture is completely different, whereas an Eastern culture person is completely different. Their mindset works differently. All right. So that's one point you need to consider when you're going to use colors. Second, the different age groups you're going to be working with. Demography is the word here. Um, younger group, Younger age group enjoys more intense colors. Older age group enjoys more subtle colors. That's because older people tend to, as you age, you tend to grow a lot of wisdom, and then you don't enjoy too much of intensity. You like sober lifestyle. So that's the mindset, the psychology behind your audiences. What are the devices or modes of viewing these images? Like, see, an image that is shot, let's say for a gallery shoot, all right, let's say you're selling your images, a conceptual image. I do a lot of conceptual and fine art photography. I enjoy doing it because you blow it up, it looks like a piece of art. You see it on your phone, it looks like a good background for your phone, right? Again, the kind of device you're actually seeing these images on plays a major role in uh, how this image is going to be perceived by your viewer, how they're going to accept it. Like, let's talk about the advertisements, okay? Coca-Cola advertisement. The moment you look at it on a big banner, you tend to look at it for a longer period of time because it's drawing your attention. Coca-Cola uses colors like red and white, which are very, prominent colors. They're also very, complementary in nature. White complements red, red complements white. They're intense. So the moment you look at the picture on a billboard, your attention is drawn right away. But the same image you look on the phone, it has a different feeling altogether. So you need to understand where your viewer is actually going to look at your phone. If you're catering to a viewer that is going to look at your image on Instagram, go in for more subtle images. Keep your composition very simple. People will enjoy it. But if you're doing an intense image or a very complex composition, a lot of subjects are there in your image. You're not going in only for one subject. You have multiple subjects in your image. That would look good on a big screen, maybe on a billboard, on a exhibition. All these places you can have more intense compositions.
Sharon, sorry to interrupt you. can you stop sharing for a minute? And guys, it's a humble request not to draw anything on the screen. You know, it's very disturbing, and it's not, you know, it's not something which you should do. You know, it's disturbing to you and it's disturbing to others also.
Yeah, I mean, are you guys like less than 15 years old? Are you all like 12, 13? Then it kind of makes sense. But if you guys are all mature individuals who are here to learn something, to get some information, it's more fun when,
Yeah,
it's
this is something which is very serious topic going on. So we request not to, you know, do all that.
okay. Shall I share my screen again?
Yeah, Sharon, there will be option when you share. There will be option of stop. You know, just check the option there.
Okay, let me just check. No, there's no option on my end, Nilesh.
Okay.
I think you'll have
So
to on your end.
just a request, guys, not to draw it. Don't move your cursor anywhere. Just listen carefully. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So these are 3 points you can actually consider before you can start off with your shoot. Um, I think this is a very interesting thing to talk about, what each color really means. All right, these are some universal, understanding of some colors that we actually see in images. Like uh, these are some very general emotions that are connected with certain colors. All right, so as you change places or geographical location, it can vary in different places. All right, so let's talk about red. So red is the color of fire. It is associated with energy. Whenever you look at red, it tends to energize you. All right. You look at a red car, you tend to look at it for a longer time. Same thing. You look at a blue car. It is fun, but not as intense as red. Um, the best way to actually understand this is, let's take a kid. All right. You're walking with a child. There's a red car. There's a white car, and there's a blue car. Automatically, the child's eye will actually go to red, because red is very energetic. It's very eye catchy. It's the color of war, danger, strength, power. These are the emotions that are associated with it. So you associate red with war. The moment war you talk about, it's bloodshed. So red is associated with blood. It's associated with pain, because unless you have pain, you can never shed blood, right? Then danger, when you see the color red, okay, you know what, I need to stop here, because that's embedded in our mind from the time we are in kindergarten, in school. We're taught the traffic signal. Green means go, red means stop. So technically a lot of stop signs have this red. A lot of logos also, you'll see a lot of red in national flags as well. A lot of countries in the world tend to use red in their national flags. Red is also the color of human blood. It represents passion, love, and anger. So the moment you look at red, it can mean anger, it can mean passion, between two individuals, love between two individuals, or love for many people. Red is commonly associated with danger, sacrifice, passion, fire, beauty, blood, anger, socialism, and communism. Socialism and communism, again, is the society you come from, or the community that you come from. It's understanding this community. All right. So red is, a lot of people actually trust the color red, though red has negative emotions and positive emotions, like love, passion are all positive emotions. Then danger, war, pain are all negative emotions. So you see, red is that one color which has both sides, a negative and a positive aspect to it. So that's the best understanding of a particular color. So let's talk about this image on the right hand side. Um, what comes to your mind when you look at this image? Can you guys like try? What's the psychology? What do you think the photographer's message is over here? See, the best way, I think one really interesting thing that I can tell you guys is the best way to understand what a photographer really wants to communicate is to decode an image. All right. As people who are interested in photography, or people who want to be in photography in future, or who want to take up photography in their life, the first step or the most interesting aspect of it is to start looking at other photographers' work. Try to understand the message behind each image. What are they trying to communicate? What is this message that they're trying to, put across? Why have they used red? Why is the photographer, using this colored face as a mask? It looks like a mask, right? The moment you first look at it, it looks like a mask, but it can denote any, it can be paint, but still the moment you look at it, your mind automatically connects it with blood, right? Automatically there is a feeling of emotion of pain. um, there's emotion of sadness. You can't see the eyes of the person. One more really interesting, I think, thing that I can tell you as a photographer, when you have images where the eyes of the person is visible, the image looks more appealing to a person. All right, let's say your viewer, I look at an image and I see someone's eyes, I tend to, my eyes automatically goes to the image, the eyes in the image. All right, that's because the way we talk, our communication, when we're talking to somebody, when we're communicating with someone, we look into their eyes and talk, right? And when we communicate with someone who doesn't really look into our eyes and talk, our conversations are cut short. That's because one of the very important or very psychological aspect about a conversation is eye contact. All right. So when you see images where the eyes are not visible, that image will have some kind of suspense. All right. That adds to the emotional aspect of the image. All right. The moment you look at this picture, you cannot see the person's eyes. So your mind starts thinking, what is actually happening in this image? What is a photographer trying to convey? What is the message that the photographer is actually trying to convey? So these are things that will actually help you with your photography as well. When you understand the message of another photographer, you tend to start developing your own style in photography. The red is very emotionally intense color. It enhances human metabolism, increases respiratory rate, and raises blood pressure. The moment, okay, let's talk about this image. Okay, we're all sitting in front of a computer. Can we look at this image for a longer time? It kind of, becomes very intense, right? After a point, you're looking at it, looking at it, looking at it, and your eyes start to pain. That's why red is very intense. It's very emotionally intense color. So it enhances body metabolism. Your heartbeat starts increasing the moment you look at red for a long time. You start breathing heavily, and it also increases your blood pressure. It has a very high visibility as well. Red is a very visible color. It cannot go wrong in drawing the attention of a person. Let's say there are multiple colors also, and the main subject of your image is in red, automatically your viewer will look at your image. These are some interesting images that I've come across where red is used. All right. So the moment you look at this, you can see lust, you can see passion. It's very, appetizing. Red is also an appetizing color. All right. It is associated with a lot of fruits. Red and orange are associated with a lot of fruits in nature. So it is appetizing in a lot of ways. It kind of gives you a feeling of sweetness in your mouth as well when you're looking at this image because you connect it with a cherry. All right. Yellow is the color of sunshine. It's associated with joy, happiness, intelligence, and energy. All right. It's not as visually, what do you say, overpowering as red, but it's visually very happy. It's a very happy color. All right. Yellow produces a warm effect. It arouses cheerfulness, stimulates mental activity, It generates muscle energy. So a lot of kids' rooms, if you see, they tend to use a lot of yellow, especially if it's a gender neutral room. Let's say they have a mother and they have a brother and sister living in the same room. You find a lot of yellow because they don't want to be gender biased, right? By putting a blue color or a pink color, you'll see a yellow color room. So yellow is seen before other colors when placed against black. I think this is something which is very interesting. A lot of signals as well, they have black and yellow. All right. Um, it's a combination which is often used in warning as well, black and yellow, because visibility is high when yellow is put against black. The only other color which has high visibility like yellow against black is white against black, right? These are some interesting images that I've come across. I think using a lot of contrast in your images can make your image look interesting as well. All right. Again, food is associated with yellow. Yellow is associated with food. It tends to make the image more, it makes your viewer feel hungry when they look at yellow. It's somehow psychologically the kind of effect it produces. Blue is the color of the sky and the sea. It symbolizes trust, loyalty, wisdom, confidence, intelligence, truth, calmness. Like a lot of purity is involved with blue. You see, it's a color of trust. I recently remember when I was going through a class with my students. One of my colleague made a very interesting point. He said a lot of banks use blue in their logos, and not just their logos, even in their advertisements. This is because blue is a very loyal color. It kind of brings about loyalty, all right, and wisdom as well. A lot of school uniforms use blue. We see blue in like shades of blue, like navy blue, light blue in uniforms, because it's associated with intelligence as well to some extent, and cold and focus, like serenity. A spa can use colors like light yellow, blue for their their interiors. So blue is a very interesting color that way. Blue is considered beneficial to the mind and body. It slows body metabolism. It's like opposite to red. Red increase your body metabolism. Blue makes you stop and take a breath. It's a very peaceful color. It's not as intense as red. Blue is used to promote products and services related to cleanliness. So you see a lot of like Purit, Aquaguard, all of them use a lot of blue in their advertisements, in their color palettes, in their branding basically. And airports as well. Airports, air voyages, sea voyages, companies which are dealing with travel use a lot of blue as well. Especially sea and air travel. Right. These are some very interesting images that I've come across. Like, see, this image, it makes you feel very calm, right? The moment you look at it, you feel like actually going and sitting at that place and actually looking over the water for a while. It's a very calming feeling. You can actually look at these images for a while and not get intense. Let's go back to red for a second. The intensity automatically just rises, right? The moment you look at red, it's so different when you look at blue. At blue, you can actually you tend to feel sleepy after a point. It's not as energetic as red. It's more of a calming color. Orange is a sophisticated color. You see a lot of models actually wear orange and yellow in their, modeling, in their images. Fashion photographers tend to use orange as well. Orange represents enthusiasm, excitement, fascination, happiness, creativity, determination, attraction. So these are some emotions that are associated with orange, right? Orange is a very hot color. Like red, orange is also an intense color, but not as emotionally intense as red. Right? Orange is not an aggressive color as well. It's kind of fun. It's kind of tropical in nature. The moment you look at orange, you associate it with orange juice. Sipping an orange juice at the water, right? A lot of travel agencies use orange, blue, and green in their color palettes. All right, color palette is when you have certain colors that are used by a brand for their promotion. Green is very strongly connected with safety, growth. The moment you look at green, I think it's the most visible color that we see around us. We have greenery all around us most of the time. At least I do. Where I live, there's a lot of trees, green trees. Green is the color of nature. So the moment you look at green, it doesn't go wrong. It kind of has this healing power. A lot of yoga institutes have green walls. Not just yoga, Tai Chi, meditation centers will have a lot of green, right? Because it's got a lot of healing power. Green has this intensity of nature in it. It is the most restful color for human eye. It can improve vision. After a point, if you're in a green room, it says that your vision gets better. Green suggests stability and endurance as well. Green is directly related to nature, so you can use it in promoting green products. Like if you see all of these nature products which use, uh, let's say, save the earth, their logo is green. Anything associated with sustainability has green in their logos, in their advertisements. Um, if you talk about martial arts like Tai Chi is also another form of martial art, which is a lot of meditation and use of very calming use of the hands and body. It's a martial art for the mind basically. So they have a lot of greenery around them. So green is that one color which is associated with growth, harmony, tranquility, fertility, and freshness. So this is something. So these are the reason why we're having this kind of a workshop for you guys is so that tomorrow when you're doing photography, you actually learn to apply this knowledge in terms of emotionally working with your audiences. So when you emotionally capture somebody's view on certain things by using color, they tend to become your followers. They tend to like your work. All right. So you can use these colors to emotionally affect your viewers. That's the reason why we're talking about colors. And color psychology is this one branch of photography that's so interesting over a span of time. I know right now we're trying to talk a lot about different things, but if you sit down one day and you actually go through color psychology, there's a lot of different things that you'll actually come across. There are different color schemes which we photographers and designers actually use, which is a little intense. That's why we've not included it. But you can check it out when you're free. How combinations of colors really work in images. If you're doing fashion photography, how you can use complementary colors to draw the attention of the viewer. Anyway, purple is it combines the stability of blue and the energy of red. So purple is associated with royalty. It symbolizes power, nobility, luxury. Purple is very similar to blue. So you'll see a lot of jewelry advertisements, they use purple, blue most of the time. But in a jewelry shop, when you go, they use red as a background to keep the jewelry in the showcase. That's because red is intense, right? It draws the attention of the viewer. Whereas red and blue, when you're looking at it visually on a screen, it tends to, portray luxury, nobility, and it kind of comes off as a color that is for rich people. So that's why a lot of companies, a lot of brands use this color purple and blue, especially jewelry brands. Black, I think black is that one color we all have as a favorite color. You ask any kid age group between 15 to 22, what's your favorite color? It'll either be red or black. That's because black is, it's kind of like, there's very less to talk about black. It's just a very interesting color. Black is associated with power, all right, authority, elegance, intelligence, depth, evil, and mystery. These are the universal psychology behind the color black. Black is a mysterious color. It's associated with fear and the unknown. See, when you don't know what is there, like let's say walking into a dark room, you don't know the consequences of what is there in that room, right? So we tend to associate black with fear because of this one reason. It's the unknown, like the black hole. Black denotes strength and authority. It is considered to be a very formal, elegant color. Like, see, when we're graduating out of college, we all wear black robes. A lawyer wears a black robe when he's actually fighting a case, right? Again, it's intelligence that it's associated with. That's the reason why we see a lot of office professionals also tend to wear black suits. Um, it's just a kind of color that is associated with elegance and intelligence. And they say that black makes a person look slimmer. If you're a chubby person and you tend to wear black, you look a little thinner than you usually are. So again, a lot of fashion designers tend to enjoy using black in their designs. Um, it is used in fashion and is associated with glamour. It also makes one appear thinner. Black gives the feeling of perspective and depth. There's a lot of perspective with black. The moment you look at black, there is a kind of depth in the image. All right. White is associated with light, goodness, innocence. I think white is that one color where I don't think it's a combination of all colors, um, or it's no color at all. All right. um, you can put any color against white and the color will stand out. That's the beauty of white. Okay, it is associated with innocence most of the time. In Eastern culture, white is associated with mourning as well. White means safety, purity, and cleanliness. A lot of air conditioning, brands use white in their color palette. Doctors use white as well. Hospitals use a lot of white in their advertising as well. So it is associated with hospitals, doctors, sterility. Because see, it it's one color which even little bit of dust falls on white, you know that it's dirty, right? So fashion designers or photographers, they tend to be very careful when working with white garments. All right. Anyway, so that's about it for our session. Let's open it up for any questions that you guys have. Any questions? Let's put it out there and let's discuss about it. Any questions, guys? No questions? No discussions? Have you ever wondered like why certain colors, are used in an image, especially in advertising? Because advertising is nothing but playing with the psychology of your audiences. All right. So if you're interested in commercial photography, you need to study psychology as well. It really helps you with the audience that you're actually catering to. Audience psychology, target audience psychology, color psychology. These are the aspects that you will need to master if you want to get into, fashion and product photography. Any questions? Anybody? Anything that you found interesting that you want to talk about? Okay, Nilesh.
Yes, Sharon.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's got any questions.
No, I think they don't have any questions. We can wrap the session.
All right. Okay, no problem. It was fun, guys, talking to you all. If you're interested in getting more information, please do get in touch with us. I think someone just sent a message. In pure colors, we can combine with tint. No, pure color is a hue. All right. You combine pure color with white, it becomes a tint. You combine a pure color with gray, it becomes a tone. You combine pure color with black, it becomes a shade. Right? So tint is color mixed with white. Color mixed with gray is tone, and color mixed with black is a shade. Right? So that's the reason why these terms really matter. When you say shade of pink, it means a darker shade of pink. All right, darker pink. You say a tint of pink, then it's a lighter shade of pink. All right, and you say let's change the tone. It means a little bit of gray added to pink. So maybe a more grayish feel to the pink. Any more questions? Okay, just one small activity for you guys. All right. If you're somebody who's doing photography regularly, um, choose these colors, like choose red, and use red in your image as a dominating color. Okay, click a picture. Choose blue as a dominating color, click a picture. Say about 5 different colors and show this to either your friends or your family, and get a response from them. Ask them what do they feel when they see the image. That way you will start understanding how you're using the color as a photographer. So these are some activities that we actually give our students as well, so that they can understand how to use these colors in terms of being a photographer. No other questions?
Yeah, Sharon, we can wrap it up actually.
Okay, cool. Anyway, it was nice meeting all you guys. I hope I see you guys soon again. Um, okay.